Cool. Well, Phil, thanks for joining me, man. I know it's Monday. The Hurricane Helene just happened over the weekend. Like you, I've had clients and family members kind of texting. I've had flood my whole house in Tampa. I messaged you had some trees down in our rental property in LJ and clients off of Peachtree Creek, in the Atlanta area having basements flood. So just I thought it'd be helpful for everybody just to kind of hear, from my insurance guy. I've been working with you for what seems like 2 decades probably. Just on, what should we think about if we've had an incident like this after a major kind of storm? From a record keeping standpoint, what is typically included in a policy with flood insurance or not flood insurance. So just want to kind of get your thoughts at a high level. What's kind of going through your mind in these scenarios.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor. It's good to see you. And I'm certainly glad that your tree situation was only hitting a fence, because that makes all the difference in the world. We've had a lot of calls and texts around the clock from people who have had situations, trees falling, puncturing roofs, water pouring in, a lot of flooding, a lot of just water in general the last week, and this weekend was no exception. So, that, I guess from an insurance perspective, it's great that you and I have this friendship and a business relationship, and that you felt comfortable to call me first before reaching out to American Family. I would encourage anybody listening, build a relationship with your agent. If you don't have that, you're missing part of the equation. But you always want to be able to ask great questions. What happens? This is what's happened. What should I do? Should I file a claim? What about deductibles? What are the considerations? How do I get someone to my property to assess the damage? Who can come now? That's a big one. When there's bad storms that come through, you really have to lean on our expertise and my network when it comes to storms. I had crews going out at midnight to put tarps up at different places. They weren't going to stay all night and do the work, but they certainly went out, met with the homeowners that were affected, kind of explained the process, took a lot of pictures, and then put some tarps up so that water did not continue to pour in and make things worse. When there is water in a property, acting quickly is part of your responsibility as a homeowner. If you let water sit for too long, regardless of who's paying, water can't sit because it's only going to get worse, right? So sitting water turns to mold and can turn into all different situations. So the first most important thing is to get a dryer out there, or get someone who knows what they're doing, who can get moisture out of the walls and out of the floors, and maybe out of cabinets if it happens to be in a kitchen, out of basements, because water sitting in walls is just a bad equation. That's when we get into large mold situations and other things that are a lot more catastrophic. So but yeah, call your agent, speak through it. If it makes sense to file a claim, if your roof has blown off and there's a bunch of water in the house, you're going to want to file a claim. You're going to want to do that as quick as possible so that you get in the queue to trigger an adjuster call, and then an adjuster to come out and visit. Far before that happens, though, we've usually got a Rolodex of different people storm ready who can come out and assess damage. From an insurance perspective, I need to know what's caused the water to come into someone's home, right? In some cases, a tree fell. It's pretty obvious. The tree hit the roof and all of a sudden it's leaking. In other cases, the bad rain this week did cause a lot of sealing spots and drips, and it exposed any roof that maybe wasn't in prime condition. And we had some roofers go out and check some situations, and maybe they found a boot that was missing, or some seals that weren't installed properly. We still have to fix the ceiling or the damage caused by that water, but it was minimized by getting there quickly, getting a tarp on there, and then figuring out, where was the water coming through. So that's always a question. If you can pinpoint, you want to think about insurance as things that are sudden and unexpected, right? So if you could have predicted it happening, if it's been leaking for 8 weeks and all of a sudden there's an issue, that's not a great example. That's 8 weeks where you were aware of something that you could have taken action, and it's your house, your responsibility. But if today the hotel room I'm in is completely dry, and then if 15 minutes from now the shower blows up and there's water everywhere, that is sudden and unexpected and a completely insurable event. As long as there's no negligence or whatever, we didn't tamper with the shower or cause anything to happen. If there's water in the house, that's certainly a claimable event. You want to get on the list and get adjusters out there, but more than anything, we want to come have a company we trust to shut off the water, kind of assess the situation, and then advise both the homeowner and us, the cause of the leak and whether or not they think it's a claimable event. If it's sudden and unexpected, there is no way to predict, and then all of a sudden something sheared off and there's water. That's a great example of when you want to file a claim, but it's good to talk through those equations with your agent first.
And so in Georgia and North Carolina, there's been a lot of flooding in places. A lot of people probably don't have flood insurance as opposed to say Florida. And I'm sure their insurance policies can be written in a million different ways with all kinds of add-ons, et cetera. But in general, if somebody, had regular homeowners insurance without flood insurance, what should they be thinking about? What should they be doing?
It's a great question, and it applies to a lot of people right now. Every policy for homeowners, they're real specific about what is covered and what is not covered. And for a homeowner's policy, you want to think about rain or any precipitation coming from above, so snow or ice or sleet or hail, or rain most commonly falling from the sky is pretty much always going to be covered. Or water originating from within the home if there's a pipe that burst, and water spraying everywhere, that's generally always going to be covered. What's excluded from just about every homeowner's policy is groundwater that's not supposed to be there rolling through a neighborhood and entering the home. So if it's pouring over the foundation, coming through the front door, coming through the windows, if the water was already on the ground, then that's considered flood. So different policies, your homeowner's policy is going to cover any water coming from the sky or from within. And a flood policy really is the only place to get coverage for floodwaters that,
so if you don't have
again, unexpected.
Policy, you're kind of out of luck. Is that
and a flooding situation has to affect 2 or more homeowners. Generally, and a flooding situation by that time generally affects a lot of homeowners.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're on a lake and the lake swells and a couple of people are affected. And as you pointed out earlier, the National Flood Insurance Program will cover those homes up to $250,000. There are things in your home that are on an included list, and there's things that are not included. But I would think about it like this: if you could grab the item and carry it up the stairs, or grab the item and take it somewhere dry before the flood came, then it's probably not going to be covered if you leave it there and it floods. If you're thinking about your HVAC or your freezer or things like that, you really can't be expected to grab those items and carry them or move them easily. But anything that you can pick up, you're pretty much responsible to take action. You can get reimbursed for both your time and labor if you had to get a whole bunch of sandbags at Home Depot and take preventative measures. Those kinds of actions are rewarded and kind of expected. It's your house. Again, don't think you have an insurance policy and I'm just going to leave. Unless, of course, your life's at stake, because obviously that's more important than any property.
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying. Be responsible, think about what makes sense. And if you got a bunch of electronics in the basement, carry them upstairs, get them up where you are, or get them in wherever you can, ideally before the storm comes.
Right. And so it sounds like, again, if you didn't have a flood insurance policy, you're kind of out of luck. But if you did, it'll cover up to $250,000.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also contents coverage, which is optional, and that can be up to an additional $100,000. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that's the case. And then there are some carriers that can do different things privately above that. So you're not limited always to $250,000, but that is the National Flood Insurance Program. The one that everybody has access to that we talked about. We get a lot of calls. People want to know, is my home in a flood zone? And the answer is always yes. But there are historically safe flood zones, and then there are those that are a little more high risk, and that's where the policies get a little pricier. So if you're in a high and dry place and you purchase flood insurance, it's actually relatively affordable. So you hear horror stories of people paying thousands. Those are people that are living on the edge or living in a historically wet place. They're going to limit what's available, and then if you have enough claims, ultimately they're going to encourage you to move.
And as far as once a claim does happen, recommendations, take tons of pictures, video. What is your recommendation? Go independently get quotes from people who can potentially fix the repair. I guess there's, with our exchange, it was kind of like, well, ours is small enough that it might not be something that you even kind of make a claim for, but a
Mhm.
major one, I mean, is it just pick up the phone and call your agent, or what's your recommendation there?
I always want to hear from everyone if they're going through a claim situation, just so we're aware and we can kind of make recommendations as far as who they might work with. In many cases, if you've had fallen trees, it's because of a big storm. A lot of people had claims at the same time, right? So all the carriers are vying for the same few companies who generally come and do water mitigation, or the tree companies are wildly busy right now, you know, but they're going to chase the money. They're going to pay for where the insurance company is writing the check. They're probably going to go to those first
Yeah.
versus the homeowner where they have to negotiate and hum and haw about deductibles, or even if we are paying. So
Well, I like your approach, man. You kind of leading with being an advisor and friend and a helper, and serving your customers and seeing what is best, So I appreciate that. And it's Monday, man. I texted you just a couple hours ago, and you were more than willing to hop on this Zoom and help. So I really appreciate that, man.
yeah, I've been watching these videos and now I'm on one. This is cool.
There you go. Well, Phil, again, Phil Menace with American Family. Anything you'd like to say, as far as your website or phone number in case anybody would like to reach out to you?
Yeah, the team is in the Norcross Peachtree Corners area. We're at 678-259-9220, or philmenaceagency.com.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.